We all loved the popular children's show Barney and Friends. The series premiered on PBS on April 6, 1992 and ran for nearly 2 decades until 2010. The series features the title character Barney, a purple anthropomorphic Tyrannosaurus Rex who conveys educational messages through songs and small dance routines with a friendly, huggable, and optimistic attitude. While the series promoted love and spread knowledge, a new 2-part documentary series titled I Love You, You Hate Me explores the strange backlash to the show. In this video, we take a look at the dark truth about the show. Stay tuned! So for those who do not know, Barney and Friends was a mainstay of daytime television, making a star out of the title character, a purple anthropomorphic T-Rex who extolled the virtues of love, kindness, and cleaning up your toys. The character was an avatar of goodness, endearing himself to countless young children around the world, even as he sometimes grated on their beleaguered parents. He was inescapable. But not everyone considered Barney a friend, a phenomenon at the heart of a new Peacock documentary series called I Love You, You Hate Me. For your information, NBC News and Peacock are both owned and operated by NBC Universal. The docuseries explores how, throughout the 90s and early 2000s, Barney turned into a cultural punching bag, the subject of disdain from adults and derision from kids desperate to disavow their childish pastimes. He was basically the Jar Jar Binks of kids' TV. School-age kids added violent lyrics to the Barney and Friends theme song. NBA great Charles Barkley beat up Barney in a Saturday Night Live sketch. Urban legends about the character's dark secrets sprung up. The internet gave rise to new genres of anti-Barney humor that freely mixed winking irony with seemingly real rage. Now, Barney and Friends has been receiving hate for several years, even before the internet's rise. The University of Chicago academic W.J.T. Mitchell wrote in 1999, Barney's on the receiving end of more hostility than just about any other popular cultural icon I can think of. Parents admit to a cordial dislike of the saccharine saurian, and no self-respecting second grader will admit to liking Barney. End of quote. Bob West, a veteran performer who provided the voice for Barney from 1992 to 2000, recalls the production of Barney and Friends as a blissful experience that was sometimes shadowed by darker intrusions from the wider world, like a sting of death threats he said he received via email. In Peacock's new documentary, West opens up about both the good and bad part of being part of the Barney family. While the set was a joyful place to work for the cast and crew, West was one member of the team who eventually found himself on the receiving end of hate. During an exclusive interview with E! News, West said, I did get some emails from some middle schoolers, which are really sad. I did get death threats from kids in middle school, but I knew what that was. Kids growing up and trying to throw off childhood. Generally, there was a lot more love than there was hate. End of quote. West explained that in the early days of the internet, his personal email somehow got leaked to the public, which led to both positive and negative feedback. I got some really lovely notes from kids, and I also got these death threats. I wrote back and most of them were like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know there was a real human being on the other end. Some of the kids were obviously hurting or had something going on in their lives. I tried my best to get a hold of their teachers or their computer lab person and see if we could get them some help. End of quote. However, West clarified, quote, there was a lot less hate mail than there were letters from appreciative fans. In the new trailer that was recently released, we only see the dark side of the hate received by the cast of the show. In the trailer, West alleged his entire family received death threats saying they were violent and explicit, death and dismemberment of my family. End of quote. He recalls on top of a video of Barney, stuffed animals being lit on fire. Quote, they were going to come and find me, and they were going to kill me. End of quote. Obviously, the trailer only sheds on the dark side of the show. Another interview subject talked about some of the rumors he heard about the costumed character, including that he hid, quote, drugs in his tail. End of quote. The trailer ends with a woman saying, quote, I don't think you could ever think somebody would go and shoot someone. End of quote. This relates to Barney founder Cheryl Leach's son, Patrick Kearns Leach, who was charged with 1 count each of assault with a firearm and shooting for allegedly shooting his neighbor multiple times after an argument in 2013. He pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 15 years in prison, according to Patch. The documentary, quote, unpacks how a children's character who stood for inclusion, understanding, and kindness birthed a movement of anger and criticism that threatened the show, its creators, and their futures. According to Joel Chiotti, the head of documentaries and SVP of strategic development at Scout Productions. I Love You, You Hate Me premieres on October 12th on Peacock. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks.